Hi, this is Kathleen from Sunny Mountain Patterns. I'm going to show you some tips for taking photos of your paper patterns. Hopefully, you have a whole pile of these that you've drafted yourself, or if they are from a commercial pattern maker, please make sure that you're only using for personal use only. Respect their intellectual property. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and try to get some of these patterns sorted out. I always like to keep information up top. I have a scale, which is a flat ruler. And you want to make sure that everything's flat when it lies down on the tabletop. You also notice that there's a good contrast between the white paper and the tabletop, so please don't put this on a white surface. And then you can, of course, zoom in for greater detail, but the problem is sometimes you zoom in too much and you can't see the rest of the paper. So that can be a problem. So you have to zoom out enough, and if you catch only the single piece, you are going to have better resolution, but you're going to have to calibrate and expand out every single photo of every piece you have. So if you can capture as many of the pieces for the pattern that you need all together, you can ensure that they're all going to be the same calibration relative to each other. Of course, you have to make sure that when you expand out the picture in Illustrator or Inkscape, it's the right amount. So we're picking up all the pieces. I'm probably going to get rid of some of these I don't need right now. I'm moving the scale or this ruler up to be pretty much parallel to the top of the camera. So you can actually see the upper left-hand corner is a little bit warped. It's just the curvature of the camera, for example. And then you want to make sure that the flat line there pretty much is parallel to the ruler. Same thing with this other piece. There's a flat part. This is going to make it much easier when you digitize it, so you can make completely straight lines for those. So here I have something that's been it's a cut on the fold originally, and I doubled it up. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out again, because I can digitally trace only one side and then mirror it. And then I'm fitting these very close together so I can get as many pattern pieces in one shot. And you can see here something that I even drafted more and extended. That might have to get corrected because it's this is supposed to be a rectangle and it's a little crooked. So that's going to be fixed when I digitize it. I have a random heart pattern that has nothing to do with the shirt that I'm showing. So in the case of bigger pieces, you are going to have to take another shot. And then also label the parts so that you know what they are. Sometimes you forget. And if you're doing a whole bunch of them, you're going to need to label the pieces either by writing on the piece itself or making a little card. I also include pertinent information like you already saw, this 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. We want that part to not be sticky outy. So you do the little dollar bill thing that you do for vending machines and you try to make it flat, or you can use a cool iron. I don't recommend a hot iron. You might catch it on fire. Please do not do that. So it's fairly flat here. And now I would take a picture like that, or I would keep fiddling with it. Apparently I'm still fiddling with it. All right, I would take a picture, pretend that wave was a picture. So when we have bigger pieces, you may have to zoom out. You still want to make sure you have that scale. You can see here where, if it was long, you might want to turn it sideways like that because it's longer that way. Cameras take pictures along the width. You can zoom out. I tried to, and that did not work because I was at maximum zooming outy. I don't think that's a technical term. But you might have to raise it up or lower it. You still need to have that scale in focus or in shot. Yeah, it's really curving on the left-hand side. So you have to be aware of how much curvature your camera has as well. You want to be able to trace out the outline, but that means that everything can be put together and you can have things very close to each other and still be able to trace it, but you do not want to overlap. That's a bad example there. There's a better example here. If you have a very opaque piece, you can't really see that edge. You can have a hard time digitizing that. So you might want to go ahead and yeah, don't overlap. So make sure you have individual pieces. They can be touching, just have individual pieces. However, you can take the lazy way out and use a trace function. You might not want touching because it might throw off the trace function. I don't actually recommend that because trace tends to add in extra data points from the Bezier curve, or the Bezier pen, I'm sorry, than is necessary. So you can see here I'm kind of puzzling them together so that they can all mostly fit in the same shot. I would probably raise this up. It does not have to fit within the scale. The scale is just to scale the photo itself. So it could just be a small square. That's fine too. Of course, if you want super accurate, you have several different types of scales, one on the top, one on the bottom, left and right. But I'm not quite that picky. So we're putting all those together, and that should be about it. As long as you can see all of the pieces. So the one on the left you can't actually see. You may have to be aware of the fact that there's some curvature. You can see the upper left-hand corner, it's a little curved. So take that into account, please, and see if you can keep most of the pieces in the center where there's less curvature than the outer left and right sides. That's just because of my camera lens. You might have a lens that will provide a flatter presentation of display.